Here we are, we're going. So the Ratana Sutta, which we will go on to when we have finished the rest of page 6, the one beginning Ittavata cha amhehi. I've done, as I said, I think about 5 or 6 verses already on as separate YouTube teaching videos, and I've done the whole of the printed text. I'll send you the links and references in the standard group email after this. So we can go now to looking at the transference of merit.
James,
Simon.
we've done the preceding one, Imina Punya Kamena. I don't think we have.
Have we not?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, that's fine. We we can do it then. I kind of, do you know, I think what happened was I think I made a mistake in the last group email. Sorry, I was correct in the last group email. We will start with the Imina Punya Kamena. I just misread it or hadn't read it at all before starting this. So you're absolutely right, Simon. So we'll do the Imina Punya Kamena. So I'll just read it out. Maybe slightly chanty, but mostly in a prose form. So Imina Punya Kamena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yavanibbana Patya Imam Me Punyang Asavakkayavahang Hotu. So let me call it up. Hang on, I'm just going to share screen. Okay, is it up on the screen now? Okay, right. So Imina Punya Kamena. It's the instrumental of Ayam, this, and we had it earlier. And we had the form anena, which means essentially, so imina and anena are essentially the same. We on the previous page we had Pujemi Buddhang Kusumena Nena. So imina and anena are alternative forms of the instrumental masculine and neuter of ayam, this. So anena or imina. So here we have the imina. Sorry, I lost it. So imina punya kamena, by this punya deed, by this act of merit. Mame bala samagamo. The prefix, sorry, not the prefix, the negative particle ma. You've got na. The two main negatives are na and ma. The na is a straight negative. The ma is like a prohibition. May it not happen. Either forbidding something, ma vada, do not say, or may something not happen. Shalaka, I don't know if you have the same in Marathi. But you have in Hindi, you have just the ordinary not is na or nahi. But you also have the negative form mat, meaning do not do something. Nahi bolte ho, you are not speaking, but mat bolo, do not speak. It's like a. Do you have the same distinction in Marathi?
Marathi, it's called nahi.
I'm sorry, say again. I didn't catch well.
In Marathi, the word is nahi, not nahi. Instead, it is nahi.
Okay, so the nahi would like be telling somebody not to do something or may it not happen.
Not happen, yes.
Okay, right. So in it's the same in Pali actually. The Sanskrit and Pali has this like prohibitory negative, either do not do it or may it not happen, and that's the effect of ma here. So let there not be, or expressing a negative wish. So ma me, and the verb to be is left out. It could be ma me bala samagamo hotu. You can leave out the hotu, just ma me bala samagamo. May there be no company of fools or unwise people. In other words, this is a prayer that you can avoid the company of the unwise. Um, Samagama is quite a transparent word. The root gum we know means to go. Agam, agachati, agata, come, and samagam, present tense would be samagachati, and the verbal noun samagama means a coming together, therefore keeping the company of someone. So bala samagamo mean the company of fools, having to come together with fools. Hotu samagamo satam. May there be, this is now expressing it in a positive way, may there be samagamo satam, the company of the good. Simon.
Yeah, the Satan, I didn't see this set of notes, but the Satan caused me a lot of bother, thinking it could be to do with mindfulness or it could be to do with 100 and all the different permutations that it could be. Um, is it a misprint? Wouldn't of be Satan with a long A? Because when I looked it up, there was no Satan in any of the declensions for that.
Um, You couldn't have an arm in Pali because in fact, I could equally put, so, how's it expressed? Satam. Okay, there should be a dot under it. Okay, but irrespective of that, it's the genitive plural. In Sanskrit, it would be satam, of
Right.
the good. But that but since in Pali you can never, under any circumstances whatsoever, have a long vowel with anuswara. Pali just doesn't allow it. Sanskrit does. So the Sanskrit of the good would be satam, whereas in Pali it's satam or satang, depending how you pronounce it, meaning of the good.
Could you have another form like Satassa or something like that?
This is the genitive plural, by the way.
Satan, could you have Satana?
No, you could have santanam, but not satanam. Let me just explain this. Am I going to explain it, or am I simply going to refer you all to the video that I have done on the declension of these of the at an or ant root in both Sanskrit and Pali? This is the pronominal declension. Basically, the pronominal declension has got the same endings all the way through, but there are a few little tweaks along the way, depending what the actual word is. What I'm going to do, actually, I might even set this as your Easter homework. You really need to master the pronominal declension, and also in particular to master the at slash ant stem. But I'll give you a bit now Let me just call up. Hang on, let me just get me. Call up iPad. Can you see a very weird picture now on the shared screen? That is when I switch on our server, that's the one that links the iPad to the screen. You occasionally get a picture. This is a particularly unsettling one. I mean, it's just part of the system. I don't know what it's meant to be, but it almost looks like a distorted X-ray of a hand or something. It's a bit weird. I don't like it. Anyway, that's beside the point. Here we go. Let's just cool up. Okay. This we're looking at the word satam. If you write it in Pali, you can have sub-dotted M. In Sanskrit, it would be satam. It's from the root as, meaning to be, and it's a class 2 verb in Sanskrit. Let's look at it in Sanskrit first. That'll help us understand it in Pali. It's a class 2 verb, so it's not asami, but just asmi. You add the ending, the personal endings directly to the root. So asmi, I am. For the second person singular, you would add si, assi, asmi, assi. However, it's not assi. It's a bit irregular now because it drops one of the s's, and so it's just a single s. So assi, meaning you are in the singular. We have the wonderful phrase from Vedanta. This is Sanskrit now. Tattvamasi. That's the recognition of the oneness of your own true nature with the Paramatma. Tattvamasi, that thou art. You are that. You are not separate from the Paramatma. So that's the asi. And the third person singular Sanskrit is asti, is. Now, in the plural, there is an irregularity. You would have expected from the root as, you would have expected to see asenti, but it's not asenti. The initial R just drops irregularly. So it's just senti, they are. For the Latin scholars among you, this is actually reflected in Latin, where the verb to be is esse, he, she, or it is est, which exactly reflects the Sanskrit asti, but they are is the initial vowel drops, sunt. So the Latin sunt, they are, exactly reflects the Sanskrit santi. Those of you who know French will know he is il est. This is French. Written as est, but pronounced just e in French. Written exactly the same as the Latin and cognate with the Sanskrit esti. But they are, in French, is just ils sont. Sont. So right through to modern French, we have the same phenomenon. Asti, santi, est, sunt, il est, ils sont, in French. Now, we make the present participle. Let's take the simple root char, meaning to go. Won't you get words like archarity, to move towards something, therefore to conduct yourself in a certain way. Won't you get the noun archarai, meaning conduct, and mitchachara, misconduct. It's where we chant in the precepts, Game su mitcha chara, veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. So char, they go is charanti. It's an ordinary regular verb. The present participle in Sanskrit is just drop the T off, charan, and in Pali, charam. The accusative, charantam, and Pali, it's the same. Now, for most of the cases, the T is dropped. So, for example, in Sanskrit, the genitive is charatah, the N now drops. And in Pali, it's exactly the same, charato. In the genitive plural, again, the N remains dropped, and you have the genitive plural ending for the of arm. If it were a noun ending in an a, it would be anam. But this is the consonantal declension, so the genitive plural is just arm. So charatam, and that gives in Pali charatam. So sun, in the present participle of being, is sun in Sanskrit. Santam, accusative. Sataha, Sanskrit now, sataha, of that which is, and or of the good, and plural satam, and it's that plural satam that becomes satam in Pali, so it's the genitive plural. I haven't sent you many grammar sheets to learn properly, but on this occasion I will. I'll send it out as either this time round or just before Easter as something that ought to be known. It will bring great reward. It will be mahapalam for you, of great fruit. So this is just an ordinary genitive plural here. But by the way, in the neuter in Sanskrit, it is just sat, that which is. There's the neuter form, sat. So being, that which is, and also means by extension, that which is good or true or real. Genitive and ablative are the same. Sataha, that which is untrue or unreal, is asat. You get this asatoma sadgamaya, which is a lovely Sanskrit chant. From the unreal, lead me to the real. Gamaya is the causative form from the verb gam, to go, gamayati, to make, to go, therefore to lead somebody somewhere, imperative gamaya. So asato ma, from the unreal, ma, which is short form of ma, me, gamaya, mam, sat, join me to the real, lead me to the real. So asato ma sad gamaya. Where were we? So here we are then, satam, of the good. So satang samagamo hutu. Hutu, may there be. Samagamo, company with, coming together with. and genitive plural satam. May there be the company of the good. Yava nibbana patya. So yava means as far as much as, or up to the point of, until. And it takes the ablative, oddly enough, so yava nibbana patya. The patti means the getting or the obtaining of something. So may I have the company of the good, it's a virtuous meaning here. May I be in the company of the good right up to the moment of reaching nibbana, yava nibbana patya. Simon.
With regard to the yava, that's normally translated, I think, as until, as if, until I get there, so to speak.
Yes. I mean, from now up until that point. Yeah.
And it also has the sense, doesn't it, of like insofar as or in as much as. So could it also have the meaning here that may all the preceding things happen? May I have the company of the good sufficient for the attainment of nibbana? So may I have as much of it as I need for the attainment of nibbana, as opposed to a temporal, until I get there.
I have a feeling that yava in this followed directly by a noun in the ablative. I think I'll have to double check. I think that was restricted to the meaning until, from this moment until. I'm fairly sure that's right. I'll double check that. Patia, by the way, it's it's from the root up, meaning to obtain or to get. It's more often than not construed with the prefix pra, so pra up becomes prap. Sorry, I'm writing on the iPad. So pra becomes prap, and as in many cases, it forms its verbal noun by adding ti. So in Sanskrit, prapti means the obtaining or the getting of something, and prapti by regular phonetic mutation becomes patti in Pali. So this is this root up. It's a fairly common root, and it turns up in various guises. Yes, Simon.
Is this also the one that's papoti and papunati, or is that a different root?
It's the same one, because in fact it's a class 9 verb, so it has the no. Oh, sorry, class 8. So the root up, and in Sanskrit it makes not apati but apnoti. Normally it has a pra in front of it, so prapnoti. So prapnoti then turns up in Pali as papoti. Also, alternatively, it's a class 9 with a na infix. So you can also have it as in Sanskrit as prap. That's another prapnati. And the prapnati is the one that turns up in a bit mangled in Pali as papunati. So it basically means to get or to acquire. In fact, in modern Hindi, you still have that root is for example, apnana, meaning to acquire for oneself. Do you have a similar one in Marathi, Shalika? The Hindi apnana, to make one's own, to get for oneself.
No, no, not
Okay,
really.
right. But in Hindi, you have it.
Yes.
And oddly enough, it's the same root that turns up from the Latin word we have in English opulent, meaning rich. It's the same, it's turned up as an op in Latin, one who has acquired much, opulent, rich. So Java, here we are.
Is patti, can that be seen just simply as the verbal noun? So like an acquisition or an attaining?
So the patti, you mean? It is, yeah. It's the verbal noun created, as is very commonly the case, by just the adding of ti to the root. So have apti, but you'd normally see prapti, which is prapti. So prapti, acquisition in Sanskrit, becomes patti in Pali. It's and all verbal nouns that end in a T are feminine. I think I'm right in saying. So imam me punyam hotu. This is my merit. Okay. Imam me punyam hotu asava kayavaham. So written in the correct order. Imam me punyam asava kayavaham hotu. So imam punyam, this punya, this merit. Here we see it in the nominative form. It's a neuter noun, punyam. Here we see it in the nominative form, imam punyam. And here we see the imina in the instrumental form. So it could be imina punyena or imina punyakamena, by this punya doing. So this punya of mine, this punya that I have done, this, like we could say, let's say for the sake of argument, this merit that I have made, this my punya, asava kayavahang hotu. Asava is a word that can mean flowing in or flowing out. It can mean either the inflows or outflows. It's just a dynamic flowing, and it's often translated as defilements and things like that. So the asavas, the various defilements. Kaya means destruction. Now, avaha, we have the root. Let me get this. Oops. We have the root va, meaning to carry. It turns up in Latin as ve. So vehiculum in Latin, which of course becomes a vehicle, in English, that ve, meaning to carry, is the same as the Pali root va. So it's that same root. When it came down the Germanic line into English, the h, as often happens, became a b. So in fact, our word wagon is in fact from that same root. A wagon is in fact, wagon and vehicle are both from that same root, the va root, meaning to carry. In fact, also we see it though the H has become a Y in our English word to convey, but it's all from that same root, to carry or to bring. So with the prefix prefix ava, avahati means to convey to you, to bring to you, to carry to you, to convey to you. So if anything is the avaha, so is that which brings something to you, produces it for you, makes it come true for you. So the asavakaya, the destruction of the asavas, the destruction of the cankers or defilements, may it be the asava destruction bringer, may it bring the destruction of the asavas. Simon, please.
Two little points here. One of them about the kaya, which presumably is another verbal noun, because we have kiyati, to be destroyed, to be ended, to be finished off.
It is that same root, yes.
Is there a that's a passive. Is there an active one? Like if one were to destroy something?
I think you normally find that in a causative form, kshapayati, kapeti, but I'm just going to turn it up for you here. I know I've done a note on it.
I mean, there's stuff like, is it nasati or something for ending or destroying, eradicating? But I've never seen an active form for kiyati.
Yeah, hang on, oops. Lost my place. I'll be right with you on that. I'm just calling it up here. So, yeah, copy. So, I have done a note on it. Yeah, it's the verbal root kshi. That's right. I think it does okay, it does exist as a transitive verb in Sanskrit as class 5 and 9, Krinoti and Krinati, Kinoti and Kinati in Pali, but they're actually fairly rare. It's much more common to see in the causative form kshapayati. And I'm not even sure if it exists in Pali. You most commonly find it in the past participle, Sanskrit kshina, Pali kina, and in the verbal noun form kshaya, Pali kaya. And so you see often kshayangachati, Pali kayangachati. It goes to perdition, it goes to destruction, therefore it is destroyed. The dosha kshaya would be dosa kaya in Pali, the destruction of the faults. here and in the verse we're looking at, it's the asava kayavaha, asava kaya avaha, the bringer of the destruction of the cankers, of the asavas.
In the if the past participle, I mean, you often see kinasava, don't you?
Exactly so, yes, with cankers destroyed. And you talk about, there's one particular poem in Tedigata, I think, where you talk about, are you, in the passive form, are you kiyati? In Pali, in Sanskrit would be, are you kiyate? In Pali, kiyati, life wastes away, in the sense of the gradual running out of life. Are you kiyati? Have I done a note on that here? No, I haven't. And also it can be construed with the prefix pari. It's from the Dhammapada, aparitina cha asava. The asavas are undestroyed. Na parikayangachanti. It could equally have said na kayangachanti. They are not destroyed. They do not go to perdition. Same root as turns up in Greek, rather than a ksha, it turns up in Greek as a phtha, from which we have the thesis, which is the old-fashioned medical name for tuberculosis. There's tuberculosis, the other word for it is consumption, because it consumption, as it were, in the sense of wasting away. So has that dealt fully with the query, Simon?
Yeah, that's that bit. Can I also ask about in that final line, the imam me punyam, the me, is that just simply the possessive in the sense of this my merit?
It is, yeah.
Or is it this merit for me may be the bringer of the destruction of the asavas?
I mean, technically, yes, but the mayor is a bit in the wrong position there.
Okay.
You could just about, but it would be quite clumsy policy. Imang me punyang, this my punya. And I think you know that this abbreviated form me is enclitic only. In other words, it's going to be joined on to the end of a substantive word. If you want to say my punya on its own, you couldn't say me punya, you would have to say mama punyam. Use the full form mama, my, of me. But here it can be attached to this my punya, this punya of mine. So I'll just read it through once more and then invite a recitation or two of it. So, imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana patya imam me punyang asavakayavaham hotu. So, Sri Animala, would you like to give us a recitation of it?
Yes, please.
Please do.
Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yavanibbana pattiya imam me punyam asavakya vaham hotu.
I get the impression, Sri Animala, you have chanted this many times in the past.
Every day when I'm playing.
It comes
Our prayers
through.
included this one.
You chanted that as a one. It's become part of you, this one.
Yes. Even now, before came to the class, I was praying in same
Uh,
Gatha.
Even before coming into this class, you were chanting it.
Yes,
Excellent.
yeah.
Right.
I lit the lamp and
Okay,
prayed.
very good. It certainly came through. Simon, will you try and match Sri Animala?
Right. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya imang me punyang asava kayavahang hotu.
Very good. It remains now for you, Shalaka, to recite.
Yeah, sure. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satam samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya imam me punyam asava khayavahang hotu.
Okay, but you made a slight pause there. Asava Kayava. Can you try and do it as one? Asava Kayavaham.
Oh, yes, it is asava khayavaham.
Exactly so. In Sanskrit, it would have been Asrava Kshayavaham.
Yes.
By the way, this Asava. Let me call it the iPad again. Where are we? Oops, well, here we are. It's from the root through, meaning to flow. Remember, be careful. It's nothing to do with the root shru. Shru means to hear. Through in Sanskrit as well, through means to flow. So that which flows into you is the asrava, the Sanskrit form, asrava, that which flows in or flows towards. It also means flows out. In Pali, you would have expected, you've got the long R followed by a consonant cluster, you would have expected to see asava, but in fact what has happened, occasionally it does, the long R is retained, then the sr just becomes a single S. That accounts for the asava. So something that flows in Sanskrit is a srota, meaning a stream, which in Pali becomes a sota. So, sota, a stream, from which we get the word sotapanna, which is a stream enterer, one who has got or obtained or achieved the stream, which is that sota plus apanna, which by Sanskrit becomes sotapanna, a stream obtainer, which is or one who has obtained the stream, which we typically translate in English as a stream enterer. That's right. Having achieved stream enterer status, you have no more than 7 more lives. But it's from that, as I say, from that root through to flow.
James,
Yes, Shalaka.
sorry, I had a question about
Please.
Sotapanna then.
Mm.
What is the meaning of Apanna then?
Okay. It's from the root pad, meaning to go. Apad, literally to go towards, and then one of the meanings is to get or to obtain. The root pad makes its past participle not by the addition of ta, which is the most common one, but by the addition of na. So pad plus na, and the d and the na merge by sandhi, so it means panna, meaning obtained. I'm just going to call this up actually in the PTS dictionary. Also, by the way, we get the same panna is in Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. It's the same panna, got there, obtained, which also means practicing something. You are on that path. I'm just going to call it up here. Oops, sorry. No. Yeah. Okay. Good. Why isn't it giving it to me?
It's because it's got the English version rather.
That's right. It's
There you go.
because it's following the it's computerized, and so it's just following the English order of the alphabet.
It didn't used to. It's become really annoying.
It has become annoying. I'm actually now having to spend a little bit more time finding things before it would take you straight to it. So it's entered upon, fallen into. So apad, to get to reach, to go to it, and then by extension to obtain it, to get hold of it. So it gives the verb as apanjati. The reason it's panjati is because it's a class 4 verb in Sanskrit, root plus here. So it would be apadyate in Sanskrit with a padya, and it's the padya becomes padja in Pali. So just apanna means something that has been obtained, or you have obtained something. So the sotapanna means you have entered upon the stream, or obtained, or got hold of the stream. It's that same root, pad, very common root, from which, with the prefix ut, for example, is utpada, meaning arising or going up, therefore utpada, which in Pali is upada, arising, from which we, for example, we get the paticca samuppada, the conditioned co-arising, which in Sanskrit is pratitya samutpada, in Pali paticca samuppada. So this root pad is a very common one, and it shows up a lot. So remember, apanna, you've got to it, you've entered into it, you've achieved it. So you're the sotapanna.
James,
Yes.
when it forms the past participle with the n, so it's sotapanna.
Mm.
I think just in like compounds, you have something sotapati something. What's that about?
The sotapatti,
Yeah. Is that just a person? Is that just a noun for a person who's acquired the stream?
it's the verbal noun. So it is the patti Actually, in the Pali word patti, it can be either identical with the Sanskrit patti, getting to, or it can be the Pali version of prapti. So there can be actually it could be a confusion there because the meanings slightly overlap. But the apatti then would mean the getting or the obtaining of something. So sotapanna as an adjective, one who has entered or who has obtained the stream. And sotapatti is the verbal noun, the entering of or the obtaining of the stream.
But you wouldn't use that of a person. You would just use that of the path moment or the event.
You would. It's a verbal noun. It's a noun that describes the action. So the adjective to describe the person, you use the past participial form, which would be sotapatta. Sorry, sotapanna.
And if you were describing if you had a noun for that person, you wouldn't call them a sotapanna. You would say they were sotapanna.
Of course, in Pali, you wouldn't use the article anyway. So if you have sotapanna, like virtually any adjective in Pali, it can be used as a noun or an adjective. It's a bit like Latin, where you have virtually any adjective can be used as a noun, and there's no strict distinction between them. We don't do it in English much anymore, save in the plural. We have say, for example, living and dead as adjectives, but we can make them into nouns by just adding the living and the dead. In fact, now becomes a plural noun. Is those people who are living and those people who are dead. So to that extent, it remains in English. We don't talk about the livings and the deads, but when we use an adjective as a noun with the in front of it, it's plural but without an S. And you talk about the great and the small, the proud and the humble, meaning all of those people who are proud and everybody proud and humble. It's the same in Hindi as well, for example. It's come through, I imagine the same in Marathi as well. You can use an adjective as a noun, and it will just be evident from context what you mean. For example, Buddha it started off life as a past participial adjective, just meaning awakened, whereas it's equally used as a noun, as we know. So, any more queries arising out of that? And then we can, if we got to the end of this one, then we could maybe stop a couple of minutes early for our break and then resume. So is it all now? I'll read it through once more and just let me know if there's any doubt or query. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagano hotu yava nibbana pattiya imamme punyang asavakayavahang hotu. So what I'm proposing to do now, we've come to the end of that, and then we can go on to the transference of merit. After this is just a couple of minutes to wait. So what I suggest then we have our brief break now and reconvene at 8:10. Does that seem sensible? Okay, great. I'll see you again at 8:10.
Stop recording. Oh, we didn't.
Yeah, thank you, Shinimala. You reminded me.
Yeah, recording.
Thank you. Oh, no, it won't let me stop recording.
I cannot hear anything. Can anyone hear anything at all?
You're muted, James.
Oh,
So he's on mute.
Thank you. That could explain why you didn't hear me. Okay, so I was just saying, before we proceed to the next verse, were there any queries arising out of the Imina Punya Kamena verse? If not, then we can proceed to the next one. So, oh, by the way, before we go on, there's some papad, apad, pad. I've done. I think you do all have my explanatory glossary, and I've just been looking through during the breaks. During the break, I've done quite a few notes on pad and the derivatives of it. Basic meaning is to go. Also, confusingly, it can mean to fall, but it's cognate with ped, pod. Our English word foot. The feet are the organs whereby you go. So just read through that. So apad, to go towards, and by also it can mean to fall into a misfortune. So it can have both a good and a bad meaning. So a bhikkhu is apanno. That's the adjectival form, who has gone into, and apatim, that's the noun form, who's apanno apatim, who's who's fallen into a fault. And the apati, again, it can have the good meaning, as in the sotapati, the achieving, the entering into the stream. Or also, it can have a bad meaning, as something that you have fallen into. This possibly derives from the ambiguous meaning of the root, or the ambivalent, I should say. It can mean both go and to fall. And we've got the vyapada, which basically has the meaning of falling apart, and then the idea of wanting somebody else to fall apart, and therefore hostility and aggression. That's why we chant abhyapado homi. May I be free from bhyapada, Sanskrit vyapada. That's wanting to strike or to hurt others. I've got quite a bit to add to this whole section on pad. It's one of these words with a wide-ranging meaning. Just like our English word go, it's a very simple verb to go, has so many different meanings, and it's used in so many different expressions in English. Pad is a bit like that in Sanskrit and Pali. So we'll move on to the next chant now, which is on the chanting books. It's in the second half of page 6. So, ittavata cha amhehi sambhatam punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. And the next two verses are the same. With the exception of sabbe devanumodantu. The next one is sabbe sattanumodantu, and finally sabbe bhutanumodantu. So ittavata, ittavanta means this much or something to this extent. Ittavata is the instrumental form, and it's literally by this much. and it's referring back to the practice that we have just done. This is a chant that's recited at the end of a puja, sometimes at the end of a meditation practice generally, but it's something that's recited at the end of a ceremony, whereby you are making the wish that all of the blessing, all of the accomplishment, everything you've gained through the practice you have just done, may that then be for the benefit of may all beings rejoice in it. Simon.
Does it have a slightly wider sense than by this much? Because there's a series of suttas where the monks ask the Buddha, it's like a refrain, kitavata, and he responds etavata. And it's got more the sense there, or it seems to have the sense like in what way, and he says like in this way. So does it have that extra sense here?
Okay, it does actually have that extra extended sense. I'm not sure that it has it here. So kitavata would literally mean, so the root form is kitavat, so the stem form kitavat, kitavant, meaning how much, and that can by in a certain extended way meaning, so the kim then, kim literally means what. It's basic meaning. Masculine form kaha, ko in Pali, kaha in Sanskrit, meaning who. Kim, the basic meaning is what, but it can be extended. It can sometimes mean why. So the original basic meaning what, extended meaning a general in interrogative. So kitavat, by what much, how much, can also be extended to mean in what manner. So kitavata in the one you kitavata bhante, in what way etavata in this manner.
And is tavat always to do with the extent to which? What does that mean?
It's kitavat would mean how much, right. And etavat is this much. Yeah. I think it's the etavat is not just in this manner because it hasn't yet described any manner. Here, I think it does have the meaning of by this much, meaning by this much being everything that we've just done. Because this is chanted at the end of a practice, always. You never chant it at the beginning of a practice. And it's by this much, meaning by what we have done, by virtue of what we have just been doing, namely the puja or the practice, whatever it may be.
I mean, presumably though, it would still apply, wouldn't it? If you're saying, like this or in this way, you've done the puja, and in this way, we've done this. Now may the gods rejoice, etc.
I take your point, but I'm slightly reluctant to say yes to it. In the question and answer, kitavata, etavata, kitavata, its original meaning would have been by how much. And then as a more general in interrogative, it could mean how and in what way. And in response to that question, the natural opening word would be etavata, in this manner. But here it's not in response to a question, and I tend to think it has its original meaning of by this much, namely this much, what much, but what we've just been doing, by all of this that we have just been doing, by reason of the puja or other practice that we've done. It's a bit of a subtle line, and maybe the distinction wouldn't have been made in the minds of the native speakers. But what I'm fairly sure about is that it's a reference to what we have just done. You could, in English, we say, by virtue of what we have just done. Because you're referring to the practice you've done, specifically referring to that practice, and then offering the merit of that practice not to keep it for yourself, but to offer it for all beings. Sri Animala, in the practices that you do, would you normally chant this transference of merit at the end, say, of a puja or a group meditation or something like that?
Yes. When we do prayers, before finishing everything, we chant these prayers before start. Yeah. Last one is this one, and again for the dead people we are praying there. This is for the God, and again for the last prayer is the one. This one.
But would you normally practice at the end of a group sitting at a temple? Okay, right.
Yeah.
Now the reason
starting with the
sorry.
Namo Tassa and everything, Panatipata, Puja, Buddha, and everything. And this is the one last that. Before that, we say Mina Punya Kammena. Then another one, this for the dead people, yeah, praying for the memory.
Okay, right. I asked in particular because in the meditation group that I have in Manchester, in fact, I was asked just this morning, there is a Burmese lady who said, well, we don't do the transference of merit. And in many of these samatha sits, you don't. And she
We
said,
do.
and well, I think we should. So I'm going to start in my group. And she informed me that they chanted it, always chanted at the end of their meditation sits in Burma. But they do it in Burmese. And then she wasn't quite sure when I said, look, you know enough Pali now. Is it this that you're chanting in Burmese? And she said, yeah, it is. So we shall be hopefully it will become more widespread within samatha that we chant this transference of merit even at the end of an ordinary sit. So Ittavata, with the meaning which I hope I've correctly explained, essentially by reason of what we have just done, by virtue of what we have just done. Sabbe deva anumodantu. So anumodantu, may they rejoice. It's from this root mud, meaning rejoicing. The verb is modati, and with the prefix anu means to rejoice along with. It's like a mutual rejoicing. They're all rejoicing with each other. Anumodantu. It's the same root from which we get one of the Brahmi Vihara mudita, meaning rejoicing in the good fortune of another. So that's mud. It has turned up in English all these thousands of years later in our word mood. So you can be in a good mood or a bad mood, but originally your mood was the original idea back in ancient times was the good mood, the rejoicing. So may they rejoice in something, rejoice along with it. So anumodanti, they rejoice. Anumodantu, may they rejoice. So sabbe deva anumodantu, by santi sabbe deva anumodantu. We in English we talk about rejoicing in something. Anumodati takes a direct object, a direct accusative. So they rejoice in what? The punya sampadam, this store of merit, this accomplishment of merit. Amhehi sambhatam, brought together, assembled. Amhehi, by us. This sampad, it's our same pad root again. with the prefix sampad, it indicates something like a success, successfully going, successfully getting, going together. In English, we talk about things, coming together. In other words, success, everything has come together for me nicely. We have to have that expression. Life is working out well. And that's the same kind of meaning as sampad, or in Pali, sampada is the nominative form here, sampada. So the verb form, sampadyate in Sanskrit, sampadyati in Pali, has the basic meaning of achieving something, getting something, being successful, and then by extension in a spiritual sense, the accumulation of good fortune, blessing, or merit. It has a causative form, sampadeti, literally meaning to cause something to come into existence, to cause something to be accomplished. Sampadeti. Are there any of you who know the particular status that this causative verb sampadeti has, the particular historical status and the clues and famous last words? According to the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the very last words that the Buddha spoke was Vayadhamma Sankhara Appamadena Sampadeta. Appamadena Sampadeta. I can tell you're mouthing it, Srinimala. You obviously know it. Vayadhamma Sankhara. All conditioned things will fall apart. Appamadena, with diligence, with heedfulness, the opposite of pamada, appamadena, sampadeta, often translated as strive on with diligence. But sampadeta, which is the imperative form, plural imperative form, is the idea of kind of make it happen, make the accomplishment occur. So sampad, coming together, accomplishing, sampadeti, making it happen. Appamadena sampadeta, make your accomplishment, create your success, your spiritual achievement. Appamadena, with diligence, the opposite of pamada. I think I'll add call up again the I'll add a little bit more to this note. But Simon,
is the punya sampadam then? Is that a kind of genitive tapurisa? It's the
okay. No, this is the accusative singular. It's the noun on it. So the nominative form is sampada, ending with a long r. It's a feminine noun in r. In Sanskrit, it would make its accusative sampadam, but the am in Pali becomes so sampadam. So you're right. It could look like a genitive plural. In fact, it's the accusative singular.
I mean, is it a compound? I mean, as in a genitive tapurisa. Is it the successful getting or achieving of the merit?
It is, yes, yeah, it is, yeah, it is. So merit assembly. So the assembly, the gathering together, the accumulation or the gaining of merit.
That's what I meant by the genitive bit, a genitive tapurisa.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were asking whether the ending was a genitive plural ending.
No.
Okay, sorry. No, I misunderstood and misheard. But you're right. This is the genitive tapurisa. So the sampada acquisition of what? Punya sampada.
And could you also explain in the very first line, Etavata cha amhehi. What's the cha doing there? And
It just sometimes comes in, and if you put the and, I mean, some people start their English sentences with and, even though it's completely inappropriate. It does sometimes slip in without strictly meaning and.
And it scans nicely, doesn't it?
It scans. That's one of the things, but it scans now. Maybe he wanted an extra short syllable. Cha will do it. You could also could have put he, for example, itavatahi, itavatacha. So it could be omitted without adversely altering the meaning of it at all. Sambhatam in Sanskrit, that would be sambhritam, from the call the iPad again. Oops. Oh, where's it gone? Here we are. So we're looking at this word sambhatam. It's actually from the root bre, which, as we know, it's the same as our English word to bear, and so to bear, to carry. It's that same word. So some makes bharati, sambharati, actually to carry together, and essentially it means that just accumulated, assembled, put together by us. So it's the paper. Sorry, it's what papers on the list. So sambhata, okay, sambharati, it makes its past participle regular, just bhrita. So Sanskrit, sambhrita, which becomes in Pali sambhata. So the r just gets lost. The vocalic ripik just becomes in Pali. Simon, can.
A couple of years ago, we had something maybe from the Dhammapada or somewhere where there was sambhara, which is like carried along or a component of something. That must be the same word, yeah?
It is the same word, closer to the original because it retains the r. So the root form has the vowel ri, vri, which then becomes bhara, sambhara. But yeah, it would mean something you carry along with you. In fact, it also means your paraphernalia, the equipment, the goods that you carry with you.
So rather than being the general term for the assembly of things that are carried together, it's the term for a component thereof.
Not always. No. For example, your sambhara, that which you carry with you, I don't think it's actually. I don't think it would mean a component part. It would mean the equipment that you carry with you. In the Bodhicharyavatara, the minions of Mara who gather around your deathbed, minions of Yama rather, are described as being Sambhrita Sambhara. This is in Sanskrit, but the same would almost apply in Pali. So these people who are coming to check whether you are to be carried off to the lower regions, they're appearing around you, Sambhrita Sambhara. In other words, equipped with their equipment. Sambhrita, they've gathered it together. They've gathered their Sambhara together. They've gathered their equipment up. They're standing there fully armed, equipped and ready. Samvrita Sambhara. So I don't think it could mean a component part. It would normally mean either what you gathered together, or more specifically the equipment that you have with you, that you carry with you to perform a task. And in particular, if you're fully armed for battle, you're equipped and ready, locked and loaded and ready to fire. You're Samvrita Sambhara. So amhehi, this punya, so anumodantu, may they rejoice in the punya sampadam, nominative punya sampada, this merit accumulation, the merit gathering, merit accomplishment, sambhatam amhehi, gathered together, accumulated, amhehi, instrumental plural meaning by us. Sabba sampatti siddhya. We now see our same root, pad, appearing yet again, sampatti. So sampada and sampatti mean pretty much the same thing. Sampatti is just, strictly speaking, it's a verbal noun, the act of achieving or gaining. But then, of course, by extension means that which it has been achieved or gained. Siddhi, we've got the root, we have siddh and sad, siddhi and sadhu. They are both essentially the same root with the same meaning. And siddh is just, you might say, the shorter, abbreviated version of sad. But they essentially have the same meaning. That is, getting somewhere, achieving it, going to it. So, for example, the psychic powers are referred to as siddhis, the siddhi, because it means that it's something you have accomplished by your meditative power, for example. And one who has such powers is a siddha, one who is accomplished, who has accomplished that, siddha. Sadhu, used in two senses. It's the idea of achievement, hitting the mark. So in India, the word, I think all over India, I think the same word is used, a sadhu, meaning a holy man. But I'm sure you use that in Marathi as well, do you? Yeah, as sadhu.
Yes.
So you use the word in exactly that same form in Marathi?
Yes, pretty much. We also say sadhu.
Sadhu, right, and which is exactly identical with the Sanskrit form that's remained unchanged from Sanskrit, through into the languages. I think virtually all of the Indian languages now have this word sadhu, and it's the common word, often translated in English as just as a holy man. But what underlies the meaning of the word sadhu in that sense is that he is a person who is on the direct path to spiritual. He's an achiever, an accomplisher. He's going there. He's headed straight there. Also, so that's its use as a noun, sadhu, the spiritual achiever. It's also used indeclinably, just in its form with no change, sadhu, as, so to speak, an exclamation of prayer, where, for example, at the end of a meeting, at the end of a chant, for example, we will often say, say it 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The meaning of sadhu there is like saying, you've got it right, you hit the point, well said, well spoken. It's like, the arrow hitting the mark, bullseye, correctly said, rightly said, achieved the purpose. So all this siddhi, siddhya for the accomplishment here, sadhu in both meanings, the holy man, and sadhu, 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 all have this same underlying meaning of taking a straight path and accomplishing a goal. So sampatti, same as sampad, success, happiness, fortune, anything that comes out well, anything that you want in life, either materially or spiritually, it's either sampada or sampatti. I'm not sure there's any real difference in meaning between those two words. So sabba sampatti siddhya. Siddhya is the genitive / dative form, meaning therefore for the accomplishment of sabba sampatti, of all success, happiness, fortune. So ittavatacha, I've got the words, and so I lost my place. Here we are. Ittavatacha amhehi sampatam punya sampadam sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. So the next verse is identical, save that in the second line, instead of sabbe devanumodantu, it's sabbe sattanumodantu, which is sabbe satta anumodantu. So sabbe satta, and in the final verse, sabbe bhutanu mudantu. Apart from that, the verses are identical. I've done a note here on the the note. What's happened to my note? Oh, here we are. Yes, the difference between satta and bhuta. They are in essence they're the same. Earlier we were discussing this word sat, which is both the neuter form and the stem form of the present participle of the verb to be. So in other words, sat, that which is real. And it makes an abstract noun, being, the fact of being, which is sattva, regularly formed sat plus twa, sattva in Sanskrit. So the sattva in Sanskrit then becomes satta in Pali. And it has several meanings, of which the two most important, or at least the two come into my mind now. In Ayurveda, for example, you can have a food, you can have tamas, rajas, sattva, and you can have food that is tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic. When in Sanskrit, rajasika, tamasika, sattvika. If food is tamasika or tamasic, you'd say in modern, I think you probably use these words in Gujarati, rajasic, tamasic, sattvic. Sorry, in Marathi, sorry, I meant to say not Gujarati, yeah. So rajas, tamas means darkness. And so if literally it's darkness, so if, say, food is tamasic, it kind of dulls you down, depresses the spirit, makes you heavy, stodgy, lifeless. Rajas, from the same root as raga, meaning passion, strong desire. It's the same word that has come into English as rage, but it's food that, exciting, that fires you up, is the rajasic. Whereas the ideal food that you want to have is the sattvic, which is the adjective, or sattvika in Sanskrit, is the adjectival form of sattva, that which is being, or that which is real essential, that which the real essence of life is your sattva. So ideally, you don't want to have food that makes you dull and heavy. You don't want to have food that fires you up, makes you full of passion. But you want to have the food that is more that nourishes body and spirit, the sattvic food. So that's the one meaning of sattva. And the other meaning is, as a neuter noun, it just means being. As an abstract noun. Now, normally, nouns ending in twa are neuter. So being, as in the state of being, as the act of being, or the condition of being, would be sattvam. However, by extension, it has come to mean a living being, or as in English, we talk about being and non-being, or living beings. Being can be used in both senses in English. Being and non-being, and a living being. Exactly the same happens in Sanskrit and Pali. Sattva, being, sattvam, and sattvaha, in Pali sattva, meaning a living being. As for example, in our chant, Sabbe satta sukhita hontu, may all beings be happy. So that is from the root as, present participle sat, meaning a being. The other word for to be is bhu, which is cognate with our English word to be. And if you make that into a past participle, bhuta is literally that which has been, also that which has come into existence. So, for example, yatha bhutam, you often see this phrase in Pali, they understand things yatha bhutam, literally as being, as they really are. It's also used, I know it's used in modern Hindi. Tell me, Shalaka, is it the same in Marathi? The word bhoot in Hindi wouldn't be pronounced bhuta, but bhoot means somebody who has been, and therefore a ghost, the spirit of the departed. Do you use that same expression?
Yes, bhoot is ghost in Marathi as well, yes.
Okay, right. And I'd noticed from, did you use the same idea in Sinhala, Srinamala?
Yes. Bhuta is a ghost. Yeah.
Okay, right. So literally,
this one is sattva is the living being. Bhuta is a non-living, like a bhuta.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
so
giving merit to them. Yeah.
They're very interesting then that both in the languages of northern India, Marathi, Hindi, maybe all of the other ones as well, I don't know, and also in Sinhala, bhut, in Sanskrit, Pali, bhuta, that which has been. Therefore, you are a ghost. You want somebody who has been. But also, it doesn't necessarily mean that, because it also means beings. In other words, from the idea of somebody, an entity that has come into being is therefore a being. So is there a sharp distinction, or is there any distinction between bhuta and sattva? As what do I say? Oh, the distinction is fluid. So satta bhuta in Sanskrit would be sattvaha and bhutaha. Both would mean beings, but satta tends to mean human beings, just tends to mean, whereas bhuta in this context would refer to all sentient or animate beings. So I've said the distinction is fluid. It's not a very sharp distinction. But when they're used next to each other in consecutive verses like this, I interpret the satta specifically to mean human beings, and then you extend it to bhuta, meaning all sense, and so the gods, human beings in the middle, and then all sentient beings beyond. Simon.
Might that be because satta has that sense of sat or good, as you would say to a person, your good self. So it's got that kind of superior quality to it, as opposed to just a living being like a dog or a flea or something.
Do you know, I think there's a lot to what you say. Yeah, I think quite possibly yes. Because the bhuta, bhu is a more ordinary word, whereas a word that started off life with exactly the same meaning, sat and as, has kind of elevated its meaning somewhat. They're not just that which is, but that which is good and true, that which is real. And for example, from that same root, we get in Sanskrit satya, Pali satya, meaning truth. So the word has got it's got higher spiritual and moral overtones than the word bhuta. So yeah, I think that's a good point you made, Simon. Yeah, I'll certainly endorse that. So here we go down to sabbe devanumodantu, sabbe sattanumodantu, and extending it. But why? Because bhuta then includes everything, could include the deva, but certainly includes the satta, but all beings, now including the animals, all sentient life in essence. So sabbe bhutanu modantu. So, do we have any queries arising out of this?
So in the Sanskrit, we call Bhutakala is a past tense, ne?
Exactly. So yes, yeah, the bhutakala. You're quite right. The bhutakala meaning time, bhuta that which has been. So the bhutakala, the been time, the time that has been. And as Srinamala quite correctly says, that's the grammatical term for the past tense. Another word for past is atita, which is that which is ati ita, that which is gone beyond or gone by. But yes, the bhuta kala. So, Shinamala, would you like to give us a recitation? And I know you can do it. You can do this by heart, can't you? You don't even need to look at the text for this one.
Ittavata jammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe sattanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata jammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya.
Okay, wonderful. Simon, would you like to have a go?
Etavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadam sabbe bhutanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya.
Okay, very nice. With one very slight slip, I'm just picking up quite cruelly. Just sabbe. I thought I heard a single T being pronounced sabbe satanumo. And I know you know it. A mere slip of the tongue, Simon. We'll let it pass. And finally, Shalika, would you like to do a recitation?
Yes, sure, happily. एतावता च अम्मेहि संवतं पुण्यसम्पदं सब्बे देवानुमोदन्तु सब्बसम्पत्तिसिद्धिया एतावता च अम्मेहि संवतं पुण्यसम्पदं सब्बे सत्तानुमोदन्तु सब्बसम्पत्तिसिद्धिया एतावता च अम्मेहि संवतं पुण्यसम्पदं सब्बे भूतानुमोदन्तु सब्बसम्पत्तिसिद्धिया.
Okay, wonderful. Actually, can you just pronounce this word, the way you pronounce it just in Amhehi? How did you pronounce it?
Amhehi.
Okay. Did you leave out the H because it may be a feature of Marathi?
Yes.
Okay.
I would have said Ammehi in
Amhehi.
Marathi.
In fact, sometimes we get this, the word is written with MH or an HM. Sometimes they get transposed. For example, the word Brahma is written and is actually written in Devanagari and Sanskrit as well with a H-ma, Brahma. But you often find people pronouncing the other way around, Brahma.
Yes.
They very often do it. Even Brahmans or Brahmins themselves will often switch those two. It's just a phonetic feature of modern Hindi and possibly of modern Marathi as well that these sounds tend to be switched. It's just a phonetic feature as it's developed over time. It's of no grammatical significance. But remember, it's always written Brahma, always written with a h and then a m. And here it's the other way, Amhehi. But to some people, it wouldn't be natural to pronounce a h after the m. And I think that's probably why you left out the h when you Amhehi. Amhehi. How did you pronounce it, Srinamala? Did you say Amhehi?
Ammehi.
So say again?
Ammehi.
Ammehi. Okay,
Yeah.
so you pronounce it more like the double M without
Yeah.
the H. Okay, these are just legitimate regional variations in how it's pronounced, influenced by your native language, of course.
Because we learn from the small age without looking at the book or anything, whatever monk is saying, we are practicing it from the small age. This all the.
You were chanting this very one this morning, were you?
Yeah, every day, yeah.
Oh.
And
so do you say every day? Is it like a group?
yes,
a group
every day when
practice
you are
that you have?
praying, this is the one. Then after that, we say for the giving the merits to the dead people, then our prayers are finished.
Okay, right. So
First to this one.
giving your merits to the gods and Sabbe Satad and Sabbe Bhuta,
Then after
and
that,
then to the dead.
That is for the people, not dead people.
That is okay. And so here you see at the very end of this chant, we have the Nyati to your relatives. There's nothing specifically. How do you chant the bit about the dead when you chant it, Shinimala?
That's what we say. We are saying only that prayer. Idamo nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nateo. Nyati means relatives.
And so say again that last word.
Idamo nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nateo.
Okay, so it's exactly the same as it's written here. So I think this is in our Samatha chanting book. I'm not quite sure whether this particular chant was derived from Thai source or Sri Lanka, but it could well be identical in both. I strongly suspect that it's identical in both Thailand and I'll check with my Burmese ladies in my meditation group how they do it in Burma. So idam me nyatinang hutu. Sukita huntu nyatayo. The nyati, it's from
Nyati means relative.
it means relatives, and it's from the
Yeah.
root nya, meaning to know, and it is the Sanskrit root dnya, meaning to know. In fact, the same word exists in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit is dnyati, and in Pali, nyati. It's the people who are close to you. So the people you know well. So by extension, it means your relatives. So nyatinam in Sanskrit would be nyatinam for of my relatives, for the relatives. And nyatayo is the nominative plural. In Sanskrit would be nyatayah, Pali nyatayo. So idam me nyatinam hotu. Again, the me is the enclitic form. Idam me nyatinam hotu. May this be for my relatives. Incidentally, no. Sorry, Simon. Yes.
Sorry, what case is that then? Nyatinam?
Nyatinam. It's the dative/genitive.
Okay.
So, in mostly in Pali, the dative and the genitive have merged into one. In this context, you could use either the dative or the genitive. You could say jnatinam bhavatu, jnatibho bhavatu. You could say in this context either in Sanskrit. So genitive/dative, may this be of my relatives, may this be for my relatives.
And what about the other one? What's nyatayo?
That is the nominative plural. So you're saying sukita huntu. Nyatayo is the subject of that sentence. So nyatayo, relatives, meaning my relatives. Huntu, may they be. Sukita, rendered happy, made happy. So the end of the puja would be then idam me nyatinang hotu sukita huntu nyatayo. And that's certainly in Manchester, that's how we do it at the end of a puja. Then sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This nya very commonly appears. It's the one that in Sanskrit is jna, which you get jnana. It's the one that in Hindi they pronounce as the gyan. I think in Marathi you actually pronounce it as jnaan. Don't something like jnaan?
Yes, Marathi we call it Jnaan, and Hindi it's different, yeah.
In Hindi, gyan.
Gyan, yes.
In Marathi, you pronounce it in the pure Sanskrit way.
Yes.
Yeah, so the jnaan, you say your Marathi pronunciation is really very close to the same, I would say identical to the Sanskrit. Hindi has departed by calling it just gyan.
Yes.
So you're closer to the Sanskrit there. It's that jna, which is cognate with our English word, English kn, as in we write in a kno, we say no, but as the K-N-O-W, is that said the j has become a k, and then the pronunciation has dropped out in English. And it's the same one that becomes gnoskere, Greek gnosis, meaning knowledge, divine knowledge. It's that same word. So, and you get, for example, in Sanskrit, sanya, which in Pali is sanya, which means the perception, the cognition, the recognition of something. Sanya, cognize. It's etymologically the same word. So sanya is not just knowledge, but cognition. Not you had the sensation of something, but you recognize, know what it is. In fact, recognize. You have a sanya, and you've had a previous sanya. You see the same thing. There's a recognition, cognizing it, knowing what it is again, because in your memory. That's what we have is the Pali word sanya. Good. I think we can just wind up with a recitation of these last two lines then. So, Srinimala, would you like to do it?
Dhamme nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu natayo.
Wonderful. And Simon?
Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Wonderful. And finally for yourself, Shaleka.
Yeah. Idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo.
Wonderful. There we are. Okay, so we're just on a quarter past 9 now, so we could just chant the blessing and wind up. Simon.
Before you do, could you remind us where to find the stuff on the pronominal declension? And there was something else you said at the beginning as well, maybe a video.
Oh yes, I mentioned that first of all on the pronominal declension, I've done a video on it. What I'll do, I've made a note to send you links to it.
And there was something on the at and ant stem. Is
that is a subdivision of the consonantal declension.
That's covered in the same video.
I've done two. I'm going to send. You're a glutton for punishment, Simon. I'm going to send you both. There's the simple form. It's called the pronominal. Sorry, consonantal declension with an unchangeable stem, where it doesn't change. You get a consonantal stem where it's got two forms. That's why for example, you get Bhagava accusative, which in Sanskrit is Bhagavan, but the N drops out in Pali. So you say Bhagwan, for example, in Hindi, when you're referring to a spiritual teacher. Do you say it the same in Marathi, Bhagwan, as meaning a spiritual teacher, a blessed one?
Yes,
Okay,
Bhagwan is the same meaning, yes.
Right, so that, in fact, the Bhagwan, or Bhagawan, you pronounce the ga properly in Sanskrit, is the nominative form. Bhagavantam, with an n, is the accusative, but then the n drops out. So, for example, instrumental is Bhagavata, as in Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo. Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo. And Supatipanno, with the genitive now, Supatipanno Bhagavato Sangho. That's where you get two forms of the stem. You get others where it's actually got three forms. Actually called it the strong, the middle, and the weak. It's a little bit esoteric, but you do occasionally find it, quite frequently in Sanskrit, but occasionally in Pali as well. But the basic thing is to master the straight consonantal stem and also master the at-ant stem, because the at-ant stem, with the slight variations I've made clear in the video, is for all of the present, well, the active present participles, and also adjectives ending in ment and avant, as in Bhagavan, Bhagavantam, Bhagavato, so that they belong to the same subgroup. But all will be clear in the material that I will send.
I'm sure it will.
And I think I've jolly good mind to set this for the Easter break homework. Not
Sure.
just those who are attending now, but all who receive it. I mean, our numbers are quite small at these classes, but in fact, despair not, because I can see from the the dashboard and the YouTubes that they get many views. So there are a lot of people who watch them, even though they don't come to the live class.
Well, hopefully for Tuesday, I've recruited a new member, a Samatha meditator who comes along to the Saturday mornings that I host, called Gunadi, who's from Indonesia. And so he'll be coming, or he can make Tuesday, but he can't do the Saturdays because that's
Okay, fine, right. Well, very, very welcome. My purpose is to spread the Dhamma via knowledge of Pali in these classes. So excellent. He will be very, very welcome. He's in the group that you host. Is that right?
Saturday morning group, yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, excellent. I look forward to seeing Gunadi then. Okay, should we chant the blessing and then go our ways? Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanu bhavena sada satti bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanu bhavena sada sutti bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba sanghanu bhavena sada sutti bhavantu te. Sadhu, 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 sadhu. Okay, thank you all for joining me, and see you next time round. Thank you then.
Thank you so much, James.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye
thank
then.
you, sir. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.